What is going on, family? So we are on day 53 with Jesus. Day 53 to freedom. And day 44 of 75 hard. I am like crazy tired. Let me see. It says more lighting required. Let me see if I can bump this up a little bit, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Is that better? Yeah, here we go. So I'm crazy tired today, and man, I'm just just tired, just getting off work. Was like, gotta stay consistent though, gotta make this video, gotta do this, So we're on Luke 23, and I want to say, let me see. Let's see. I'm gonna try to pronounce all these things correctly and try to do these things correctly. Please excuse me if they're not, especially like I said, I'm crazy tired. But Luke 23 though, it says Jesus' trial before Pilate. The entire council took Jesus to Pilate, the Roman governor. They began to state their case. This man has been leading our people astray by telling them not to pay their taxes to Roman government and by claiming he is a Messiah, a king. Boom. Sound like the government off the rip, trying to stop someone doing good because they ain't getting their taxes. And it says, so Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of Jews?" Jesus replied, "You have said it." Pilate turns to the leading priest and to the crowd and says, "I find nothing wrong with this man." Then they became insistent that he is causing a riot by his teaching wherever he goes, all over Judea, from Galilee to Jerusalem. And he's a Galilean. Pilate asked. When they said that he was, Pilate sent him to Herod Antipas, because Galilee was under the Herod's jurisdiction, and Herod happened to be in Jerusalem at the time. Herod was delighted at the opportunity to see Jesus because he had heard about him and had been hoping for a long time to see him. Performed a miracle. He asked question after question, but Jesus refused to answer. Meanwhile, the leading priest and the teacher of the religious law stood there shouting their accusations. Then Herod and his soldiers began mocking and ridiculing Jesus. Finally, they put a royal robe on him and sent him back to Pilate. Herod and Pilate, who had been enemies before, became friends that day. Then Pilate called together the leading priests and other religious leaders, along with the people, and he announced this verdict: "You brought this man to me, accusing him of leading." I think, yeah, it's still recording. Somebody's calling me. Freaking telemarketer. You brought this man to me, accusing him of leading a revolt. I have examined him thoroughly on this point in your presence and find him innocent. Herod came to the same conclusion and sent him back to us. Nothing this man has done calls for the death penalty, so I will have him flogged, and then I will release him. Then a mighty roar rose from the crowd, and with the voice they shouted, "Kill him and release Barabbas to us." Barabbas was in prison for taking part in insurrection in Jerusalem against the government and for murder. There's so many things that I feel like they relate to like the world today in certain like cases and things. Like how people, for instance, bad people end up in jail, for bad things. And next thing you know, they're actually free and actually able to be released. And then a good person will go to jail for really not doing anything at all. It's like the world we live in still existed back then. Pilate argued with them because he wanted to release Jesus, but they kept shouting, "Crucify him, crucify him." For the third time, he demanded, "Why? What crime has he committed? I found no reason to sentence him to death, so I will have him flogged, and then I will release him." The mob shouted louder and louder, demanding that Jesus be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate sentenced Jesus to die as they had requested. He released Barabbas, the man in prison for insurrection and murder, but he turned Jesus over to them to do as they wished. Man, this is crazy. The crucifixion. As they led Jesus away, a man named Simon, who was from Cyrene, happened to be coming in from the countryside. The soldiers seized him and put the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. Shame on you, Simon. Shame on you. But hey, as I read more, I realize, who are we to judge? And we can't really be like that. If he accepts and still forgives this guy, why would I sit here and say shame? There goes me jumping right into an area where I don't need to be. Let's see. As they led Jesus away, a man named Simon from Cyrene happened to be coming from the countryside. The soldiers seized him and put a cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. A large crowd trailed behind, including many grief-stricken women. But Jesus turned and said to them, "Daughters of Jerusalem, don't be weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children, for the days are coming when they will say, fortunate indeed are the women who are childless, the womb that have not borne a child, and the breasts that have never nursed. People will beg the mountains, fall on us, and plead with the hills, bury us. For these things are done when the tree is green. What will happen when it is dry?" To other, both criminals were led out to be executed with him. When they came to a place called the Skull, they nailed him to the cross, and the criminals were also crucified, one on the right and one on the left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing." And the soldier gambled for his clothes by throwing dice. The crowd watched, and the leaders scoffed. "He saved others," they said. "Let him save himself if he is really God's Messiah, the chosen one." The soldier mocked him too by offering him a drink of sour wine. They called out to him, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." A sign was fastened above him with these words, This is King of the Jews." One of the criminals hanging beside him scoffed, So you're the Messiah? Are you? Prove it by saving yourself, and us too while you're at it." But the other criminal protested, Don't you fear God even when you have been sentenced to die? We deserve to die for our crimes, but this man hasn't done anything wrong. Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus replied, "I assure you, today you will be with me in paradise." The death of Jesus. By this time it was about noon, and darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. The light from the sun was gone, and suddenly the curtain in the sanctuary of the temple was torn down the middle. Then Jesus shouted, "Father, I entrust my spirit into your hands." And with those words, he breathed his last. When the Roman officer overseeing the execution saw what had happened, he whispered, "God," and said, "Surely this man was innocent." And when all the crowd that came to see the crucifixion saw what had happened, they went home in deep sorrow. But Jesus' friends, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance watching. Man, this is just truly just sad, bro. The burial of Jesus. Now, there was a good and righteous man named Joseph. Wow. I don't go by that name, but my name is Joseph. That's like, I know the names in here, but I go by Tremaine, but my name's actually Joseph. And I don't know, that was just like a random thought. He was a member of the Jewish High Council. I'm not a member of the Jewish High Council. But he had not agreed with the decision and actions of the other religious leaders. Now, I'm right there with him for sure. I don't agree with it either. He was from the town of Arimathea in Judea, and he was waiting for the kingdom of God to come. He went to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Then he took the body down from the cross and wrapped it in a long sheet of linen cloth and laid it in a new tomb that had been carved out of rock. This was done late on Friday afternoon, the day of preparation. As Sabbath was about to begin and his body was taken away, the women from Galilee followed and saw the tomb where his body was placed. Then they went home and prepared spices and ointment to anoint his body. But by the time they were finished, the Sabbath had begun, so they rested as required by the law. This was a pretty deep chapter, of course, like the rest of them, but like it's getting deeper and deeper. But to understand like this how it went down, he had some people on his side, he had some people not on his side. But it's crazy to sit here like the people were getting mad because he told them not to pay taxes, all this other stuff, bro. It's like I see what people mean, what they say whenever you start to read the Bible. You start to realize there's so much in the Bible that can relate to so much in the world today, as well as within yourself. Like I truly start to see that, and I think that's what's making it intriguing to like just continue to keep going, which I'm going to. But it's just amazing. It truly is, you know. But as he sits here and takes his last breath, he still has love for everyone around him, even the enemies and the ones bringing forth the crucifixion. Won't he do it? But yeah, man, I wanted to read that because I really, besides what I'm saying, I don't really know how much to say, but I'm just like crazy tired, so I apologize about that, you know. But besides that, man, you know, we're gonna keep it pushing, keep it going, and keep this journey, keep it going 10 toes down, you already know. But I'm gonna leave you at peace, love, and happiness. Big faith.